We have a couple of driver replacements coming into this week's race at the Alberta Superspeedway. James West and Philip Borland were injured in their respective crashes at Las Vegas. West will be replaced by Ronald Porter, who competes for KARL in the ARLA Thunder Trucks, and Borland will be replaced by rookie Owen Hill. We originally believed that Philip Borland would be cleared to race with Owen Hill on standby, but A1 Racing, the team he drives for, decided that it would be best if Hill ran the full race. In other news, Derek Dudding, Olivier Martinez, and Salvatore Provenzano never showed up to the track this week. Martinez and Provenzano both drive for Scuderia Martinez, who we believe has been in financial trouble all season, and it looks like that funding for those two cars may have dried up. However, Joel Rodriguez still showed up, and he drives that team's third car. A new team has stepped up to take their place, however. Speed Vision, a team owned by former TM Master Cup Series driver David Krikorian, will be fielding two cars for this race, and we believe the rest of the season as well, with Krikorian himself driving one of them. Scott, it's all yours.
Thank you, Earl. RAIBEART Scott takes the Smash Beer Pole Award for round one of the Xenos Alberta Duels. Kevin Monroe on the outside front row got a very slow start, so he holds up the outside line, allowing Scott and Ricky Navarro to get away. Scott and the 33 team have been struggling for most of the season, but he found a lot of speed at Las Vegas, and it looks like he might be able to keep up that momentum tonight. But he's going to have to wait for a little bit to do that because Ricky Navarro gets a run on Scott at the end of the first lap, and he's going to take the lead going into turn one. Mamba Kumengu in the 152 got a great qualifying position, and he takes full advantage of that as he now has a go at the lead. Kumengu in the Katsev has been surprisingly quick this season, and he even picked up a win at St. Petersburg. We got some four wide going on early in the race. Nikos Kostopoulos moves up to let Amy Patty in, and that creates a very tight situation. However, they get that sorted out very quickly. A big crash is not what we need in the opening laps. The Jaguar racing cars of Holden Roberts and Shane Lake find themselves up front together. Roberts is about to get by Shane Lake, who led the last time by. Jaguar Racing has had a disastrous start to the 2011 season with crashes and mechanical problems all over the place, but fortunately they seem to have picked it up over the past couple of weeks. Zach Branch is making his ARLA Elite Series debut for Lastro Autosport tonight. Branch competes in Formula Overdrive for Xenos, but he is running a partial schedule in this series. So far, Branch is doing very well in front of his home crowd as another Canadian, Henrietta Laverne III, takes the lead. The first caution came out on lap 10. Libby Bell and Dale Underwood are involved in a four-wide situation. Underwood doesn't give Bell enough room, and Underwood gets spun up into the wall with CJ Cameron in the 313 trapped behind the 03. Most of the field pitted under yellow, but Kurt Walker stayed out to inherit the lead. Walker has not won a race since 2007, but he has been up there in several races since. But right now he's got to contend with Lucas Sweeney in the 8, who got a win at Talladega a few weeks ago. And Sweeney dives to the inside as Walker leaves the door open. Gary D'Souza in the 149 goes with him. Zach Branch makes his way up to the front once again, so in his first start, he emerges as a contender early on. Branch gets by Riggs Motorsports driver Harry Enola, but now he's got Ricky Navarro, another Riggs driver, breathing down his neck. Jason Bates in the 51 is that third car on the inside line. Holden Roberts in the 165 now is another go at the lead. As I mentioned before, Jaguar Racing has really stepped it up in the last couple of weeks, and Roberts has suddenly turned into one of the drivers to watch for, and that's pretty good considering that Roberts failed to qualify for every race he attempted last season. A bad day for CJ Cameron is about to get worse. He has fallen off the pace due to the damage he received, and now his engine blows up as he comes down the front stretch, and one of the most impressive drivers early on in the season goes out of the race. Rip Tyler in the 16 was handed a penalty after Las Vegas, and he had to start in the rear of the field for this race, but he has quickly clawed his way forward, and he is now running in the top 10. Packer Carroll in the 71 Volpe makes his way to the front of the field. Carroll will actually have to miss next week's race at Alaska due to his commitments in the TM Master Cup Series. He will be driving the number 1 car for Alexis Rainsford, while Rainsford is running the Indianapolis 500. The second caution came out on lap 35. Zach Branch makes it 4 wide with Earl McDermott. He gets together with Ricky Flush coming off a 2, and a pileup breaks out. CJ DeJown, the 37, goes spinning. Taylor Brillen is around. Earl McDermott, Nikos Kostopoulos, Brenda Riggs, among others, and I saw one car come flying through there. Harry Nolan, the 45, is in the grass. Here's the aerial shot. McDermott moves up the track. Zach Branch sees an opportunity, but there just isn't enough room, and it all descends into madness from there. Ricky Navarro and Allie Riggs do a pretty good job getting through that. Cameron Sweetwater comes pretty close to making contact, and Rachel Gonzalez just flies through the wreck without even lifting off the gas. When you see smoke, you should slow down, but Gonzalez just comes flying through there at about 205 miles an hour. Gonzalez and everybody around her got very lucky because it would have been a very nasty crash if she had actually hit somebody. Gonzalez was called to the hauler. Packer Carroll leads on the restart. He tries to get a nice jump, but Kevin Monroe has the same idea, and so he's right on his bumper coming into turn 1. Rene Ricarmier runs third. He snagged a top 10 at Las Vegas. Kevin Monroe makes a move to the inside, and Carroll lets him in without a problem. However, this is going to cause Carroll to get freight trained by the field. Jacob Eichholz in the 231 makes his presence known. Eichholz got 25 bonus points for winning the rookie shootout, and that has really helped him stay in the top 5 in points, but he is certainly not depending on that. Eichholz has been a solid top 12 driver all season, and he is keeping up that momentum tonight. Gary D'Souza in the 149 now has a go at the lead. He finished second in his race at Las Vegas by half a car length to Leslie Riggs, and you can bet that he's looking to prove that he's better than that. After all, he was able to hold his ground very well that night, making him one of the hardest cars to pass. RAIBEART Scott, the pole sitter, makes his way back up towards the front. He dropped back a bit after the race got going, but it looks like he was just trying to be patient, and frankly, some of these drivers could learn from him, especially after seeing the problems that going 4 wide can cause. Speaking of 4 wide, that's what caused the third incident with 12 laps to go. Ricky Navarro goes 4 wide with Leslie Riggs, his teammate, and carries both cars into the inside wall. They hit the wall very hard and come flying back up onto the track, but luckily they don't hit anything. However, that was still a very hard hit, especially for Riggs, who hit the wall at a 45-degree angle at about 207 miles an hour. Alex Carson doesn't give Riggs quite enough room, but Ricky Navarro drifted up into the 50 for some reason. They got hooked and just carried each other into the inside wall. This is shades of 2010 for Leslie Riggs, as she had a lot of hard impacts that season. We have no word on her medical condition. Let's go on board with Ricky Navarro. He's stuck in a very tight situation, and he made a little contact coming off a 2 and then drifted back up into the 50 for some reason. I don't think that's going to sit too well with his team, considering that this was a very hard wreck. The race had to be red flagged in order to get the 50 off the track. However, while the field was getting lined up, we have an incident between Joseph Howard and Jason Bates. Howard drifts down into the 51 and takes him into the wall. Henrietta Laverne got a piece of that, and unfortunately the damage to all 3 cars is going to take them out of contention. Joseph Howard was called to the hauler. Packer Carroll leads on the restart with Mumba Kumengu in the 152 behind him. We have less than 10 laps to go. Lucas Sweeney in the 8 makes a move on Mumba Kumengu to take the second spot. And he is still coming. He's right on Packer Carroll's rear bumper coming off of the second corner. RAIBEART Scott had a puncture shortly after the restart, so he had to dive into the pits to get his tires changed. And this has got to be gut-wrenching for Evans Motorsports, because they had a car fast enough and a driver smart enough to potentially win this race, but now it has all gone up in smoke. In the meantime, Lucas Sweeney has taken the lead from Packer Carroll, and he has Mumba Kumengu right behind him with just 2 laps to go. And Lucas Sweeney has to dive into the pit lane, coming to the white flag. Oh, what a tough break for Sweeney, who had to stay on top for only 1 more lap, but he was bitten by mechanical problems. This puts Mumba Kumengu in the lead on the final lap with Allie Riggs breathing down his neck. And there goes Riggs to the inside. Packer Carroll moves in behind the 19 to give her a bit of a push. But coming down the backstretch, Carroll moves in behind the 152 once again. Kumengu has the help, but Riggs has the line going into 3. And now Carroll dumps Mumba Kumengu and he gets a huge run on Ali Riggs coming off the final corner. It's a drag race to the line, and Ali Riggs wins the race by inches over Packer KARL. Riggs becomes our first repeat winner of the season, but if KARL just had about 100 more feet, that could have been him in victory lane. Mambu Kumengu keeps up the good work with a third-place finish. Holden Roberts is fourth. I believe that's his best career finish. RAIBEART Scott in the 33 is a lap down, but if he didn't have that puncture, he could have been up there with the leaders. Rachel Rainsford cracks the top 5. Motor Assault Racing has been struggling a bit this season, so it's great to see them get this kind of result. Cameron Sweetwater comes home 6th, making this her first top 10 finish. Leigh Gurrell finishes 7th on home soil for both himself and his team. Kurt Walker finishes 8th, bringing home his second top 10 of the season. Alex Carson finishes 9th for Pearson Sweeney Motorsports, and Rip Tyler rounds out the top 10 despite starting in last. Rene Ricarmier in the 0 just narrowly missed a top 10 position. And now it is time for round number 2. Jared Anderson takes the Smash Beer Pole Award, making this the first pole for Griesberger Racing this season. Jeremy West in the 77 Fortner started in 3rd, making this another great Superspeedway qualifying run for him. And he wastes no time in trying to chase down Anderson. Last week, Damian Snyder blew his engine right at the start and finished in last, but tonight he goes for the lead, making it 3 wide with Jeremy West and Jared Anderson. However, he's got Andy Pearson in tow, and Pearson makes a run at him, coming off of the second corner. As Earl mentioned before the race, we have a new team competing tonight. Speed Vision, the Team Lights team owned by former Master Cup Series driver David Krikorian, is making its ARLA Elite Series debut tonight, with Krikorian himself at the wheel of the 32 and Herbie Finkelberg in the 96. The Speed Vision cars did not qualify very well, but as you see from the onboard shot from the 96 car, they are able to keep up with the rest of the field, and that is a very good sign for them. Wesley Savage finds himself at the front of the field instead of on a wrecker for once. Savage is DNF'd in all 4 races this season, but he seems to be turning his luck around tonight, even though he is being passed for the lead by Eric Jackson at the moment. And Jackson is now about to lose the lead to Jason Teller, another one of the Canadian drivers in the field tonight. And yet another one of our Canadian drivers, Dan McKay, is about to make a little contact with Lucas Hunter, and McKay almost gets taken out by Nico Petrov in the 20. I think the action is just a little bit more dicey than it really should be this early in the race. As we mentioned, the number 99 car is being driven this week by debutant driver Owen Hill. Hill was originally supposed to be on standby for Philip Borland, but A1 Racing gave him the go-ahead to run the full race. Hill has fallen to the back of the pack, but he has now slotted himself on the inside line, and he should be making his way forward. Ronald Porter makes his return to the ARLA Elite Series, subbing for the injured James West. Porter drives for KARL Link in the ARLA Thunder Trucks, and the team needed someone with Elite Series experience to replace West, and Porter certainly has plenty of that, including 2 consecutive victories in 2009. Ryan Griffin is making his ARLA Elite Series debut tonight in the number 35 car for Great Lakes Motorsports. This is an ARLA Thunder Trucks team that will be running a partial schedule in the Elite Series as well. Griffin found himself in the lead the last time by, but as you see, he just lost it to Scott DALITZ and Bigsby Foote. But that's just the nature of these superspeedway races. The first caution came out on lap 11. Damian Snyder and Eric Jackson get together coming off of turn 2 while going 4 wide. The 2 cars hooked, and they carry each other hard into the inside wall in almost the exact same fashion as the wreck between Ricky Navarro and Leslie Riggs in the last round. And Eric Jackson almost wipes out a few cars coming back up onto the track. Let's take a look at this from onboard Eric Jackson in the Volpe for Gravity Racing Inc. There is not much you can do when 2 cars get hooked together like that, and they both hit the wall at about 205 miles an hour. We have no word on the medical conditions of either Eric Jackson or Damian Snyder, but we do hope for the best for both of them. While under yellow, Scott Morales is going to get together with Hawk Slider in the 070. Jeremy West gets stuffed into the wall as a result, and he comes back down into Scott Morales and sends him spinning to the inside. I have no idea what that was about, but the officials wanted to find out, and they called Morales to the hauler.
TYSON LAUTENSCHLAGER was right behind this incident, and he got a small piece of it when he has nowhere to go and runs into the back of Jeremy West. LAUTENSCHLAGER is another one of our drivers racing on home soil tonight, and this isn't exactly the most honorable way to get into an incident in front of your home crowd. Blake Camphausen leads on the restart. Camphausen has easily been the most impressive part-time driver this season. He finished in the top 10 in every race he has run so far. Camphausen gets a great start, but Anthony Griffith in the 00 gets a big charge, and he will close up on the 046. A little while later, Chuck Bloomers in the 89 is going to have a go at the lead. Bloomers performed very well at Talladega until he got caught up in a wreck, but now he has another opportunity, even though the Junos of Mike and Nick Howard have just gotten a run on him. The field would eventually come up to lap Scott Morales in the 76, and Morales does not play very nice, almost stuffing David Krikorian into the wall. The field splits him down the middle, and he is going to hold up Jared Anderson in the 9. It doesn't look like Morales knows what he wants to do. The inside is able to get away clean, but the outside line has just lost a ton of momentum. Jason Teller in the 48 has to pit for a puncture. Tough break for Teller. He was finally having a good run, but this will drop him a lap down. Makoto Yamada finds himself up front in a very impressive run for the 22 team. Crashes and mediocre finishes have put them way down in the points, but they're looking to turn that around tonight. Herbie Finkelberg now has a look at the lead coming off of turn 4. Yamada leads the lap, but Finkelberg has the line. TYSON LAUTENSCHLAGER will be the next car to be put a lap down. The hood had to be taken off of that car, and that has put LAUTENSCHLAGER off the pace. And LAUTENSCHLAGER is not being that much more gracious than Morales, holding up just about everybody, and now he holds up the outside line. Ryan Griffin is making his way back up towards the front of the field. In the ARLA Thunder Truck season opener, he qualified on the outside of the front row and finished in the top 15, so he has already established himself as a driver to potentially watch out for, and he is certainly grabbing some attention tonight. The second caution came out on lap 39. Bob Steffens in the 211 gets together with Amy Harrison in the 102, turning Harrison in front of the field and triggering a pileup coming into turn 1. Two of the Griesberger cars in there. Blake Camphausen, Chuck Bloomers, Lucas Hunter, Bruce Wilkinson in the 7 involved in a wreck for the second week in a row. Steffens just drives right into the 102 without making much of an effort to avoid her, and a bunch of innocent people get caught up in it, including Blake Camphausen, whose streak of top 10 finishes is definitely going to come to an end tonight. Makoto Yamada leads on the restart with fellow Japanese driver Namimura right behind him. Ryan Griffin is third with David Krikorian in fourth, though Scott DALITZ in the 18 is about to take that position away from Krikorian. And DALITZ is now starting to make a charge with a push from Ronald Porter in the 69. But Porter makes a move to the inside and tries to take the second spot away for himself. And Porter has a fair amount of help behind him in the form of Nick Howard in the 611 and Andy Pearson in the 2. And now Porter will have a go at the lead, taking it from Makoto Yamada without a problem. As we approach the closing stages of the race, Ronald Porter has really come alive in that 69 car, so it looks like he may have been conserving his stuff. Wesley Savage now makes his way back up towards the front. He has survived for the late stages of this race, and considering what's been happening to him this season, that's quite an achievement. Savage is on track to finish his first race of the season, and it looks like he's fast enough to snag a decent result as well. A few moments later, the Speed Vision cars find themselves running 1-2. Herbie Finkelberg led the last time by, and now he is going to let David Krikorian by to lead a lap. Kayla Bazell in the 672 is up with this lead group, and she is only making her second Elite Series start. She got into an accident in her debut at Las Vegas, but tonight she is on course for a decent finish. Owen Hill now challenges Ryan Griffin for the lead in what is the best performance from that 99 car so far this season, and Hill isn't even this car's regular driver. Nick Howard would then find himself in the lead. The last row Autosport cars have been fairly impressive this season despite failing to qualify for every single race they attempted last year. They started receiving backing from Juno before the Rockford 200, and that deal has carried over to this season, and it seems to have helped them greatly. The field encounters Scott Morales once again with only a handful of laps to go.
Morales moves up to let everybody by. Makoto Yamada wisely shoots to the inside to get by the 76. But the cars on the outside, Andy Pearson, Wesley Savage, and Ronald Porter will be trapped behind Scott Morales. And unfortunately, this is going to take them out of contention. Coming to the white flag, Nico Petrov makes a move on Herbie Finkelberg for the lead. Petrov has had a dismal season so far, but now the rookie finds himself in the lead on the last lap. But now the Serbian is facing a lot of pressure from Namimura and David Krikorian, who now gets shuffled out of line by Ryan Griffin, who will take over the third spot. Namimura got her only victory last season on a technicality, so you can bet that she's hungry for another legitimate win. Coming through the last two corners, Mura cannot make a charge yet. Scott Dalitz tries to make a charge on the very inside. Mura cannot make a move, and Nico Petrov takes his first ARLA Elite Series victory in his 5th start. This is also the first victory for Cash Racing, a VSCC team that has expanded into ARLA for this season. Ryan Griffin finishes a very impressive 3rd in his Elite Series debut. Makoto Yamada takes the 4th spot, his first top 5 finish, by inches over Scott Dalitz. Dalitz tried to make a big charge off the final corner, but to no avail. We had a 3-wide battle for the 6th position, with Caleb Izell taking the spot over David Krikorian by a nose. Nick Howard finishes 8th in front of his home crowd. Anthony Griffith finally gets a good finish in that 00 car for Gravity Racing Inc. And Herbie Finkelberg ensures that both Speed Vision cars finish in the top 10 in their first start. And now let's look at the point standings. Leaving Alberta, Kevin Monroe still holds the lead, but Allie Riggs is closing in on him. She is only 6 points behind. Jacob Eichholz is 3rd, 11 points back. Renee Ricormier 4th, 16 points back. Joseph Howard in 5th. Mamba Kumingu is in 6th. The White Mountain Motorsports cars of Ricky Flush and CJ Cameron are 7th and 8th, respectively. Andy Pearson in 9th, and Legrell is in 10th. Brenda Riggs is actually tied with Legrell, but I'm not sure how that tiebreaker was determined. They are both 65 points back. Nick Howard is 12th. Holden Roberts is up to 13th, so Jaguar Racing is finally starting to turn it around. Lucas Sweeney is 14th. Amy Patty 15th. Gary D'Souza in 16th. Dale Underwood 17th. Leslie Riggs 18th. We still have no word on her medical condition. Bigsby Foot 19th, and Michael Madrigal rounds out the top 20, 113 points behind the leader.